Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop, Emerald Planet. All the ecology news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's your host, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, Dr. Sam Lee Hancock.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. and the United States as we look around the globe in 144 different nations, looking for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, services, and products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And as we hit 2050, it's estimated we'll have another 2 billion people on the planet. And so how are we going to be able to provide the housing, but at the same time to protect the environment, to reduce the greenhouse gas emissions, and to make sure that people have an adequate, actually a superior quality of life in the structures they're living in. And I have a gentleman sitting some distance from me now, since we have two young men in the middle. This is Mark Davis, who's the president of WDC Solar. Good friend I've known for actually getting to be a number of years now, Mark. And thank you for being back on Emerald Planet. And also sitting in between is Alan Swanson, sitting right beside Mr. Davis. And then right beside him is A.J. Smith. So gentlemen, welcome to the Emerald Planet.
Thank you.
Glad to have you here. Mark, let's jump in. What is WDC Solar, and tell us a little bit about the purpose of the organization.
Yes, absolutely. WDC Solar is a solar installation company located in Anacostia. The main purpose of WDC Solar is to bring renewable energy to low-income communities. One way of doing that is when we developed our business plan, one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that solar was inclusive, that we had all neighborhoods and all wards in the district included in this process. So when we developed, we wanted to try and develop a plan that included workshops, that included training so that we could have jobs, and that could include installing solar systems on low-income family homes at no cost to the resident. So we went back and forth with the District of Columbia and finally came up with a plan as to how to get those systems installed. And the way we did that was we blended the rebates, the tax incentives, and the SRECs with private capital, and we were able to get solar systems installed on low-income family homes at no cost. When we started the program, we only had 2 systems installed in Ward 7 and 8. Now we have over 100 solar systems installed in Ward 7 and 8.
Yeah, and we need to acquaint our viewers, Ward 7 and 8, these are areas that are economically, socially challenged, and so it's really important to work with the local citizens there to make sure that they have the same services, and also going beyond what many of the other districts within Washington, D.C. itself. So
absolutely, Dr. Sam. And so as I said, it's a 3-prong approach. We want to conduct workshops in Ward 7 and 8 to make the residents aware of solar energy, the benefits of it, what happens when we install on their home. We want to train young men and women to obtain these jobs. We have 2 of our trainees here. And then we want to go move forward with the solar installation process.
Yeah, I think it's really important. And that's something, Mark, you and I talked about at great length over these number of years working like with the Temple of Praise and other communities of faith, particularly in Ward 8, but also for Ward 7, is that we want to bring people, transfer the technologies into the community and allow them to learn the technologies, and also to be able to, in essence, walk to work, or, you know, a couple of stops on the bus or something like that.
Right.
And so I think that's really very important, because every community has the same right to the same technologies and advanced thinking on what's going on in the world. And so having solar and other renewables, I think, is very important. Alan, tell us a little about some of the benefits to homeowners having installed solar.
Well, first of all, their load and their electric bill will be cut down some, and they will reduce their carbon footprint.
Well, that's very important. So how did you learn about this? I mean, how do you know that we're going to reduce their the cost, to the homeowner, and also about the CO2 the reduction as well?
Well, Mr. Davis actually taught us this when we first came in. He broke it down in ways that is 3 different ways. It's SREC, also government help that make sure that Pepco and other energy storing people buys the solar energy and help install this so everybody can benefit from it.
Okay, Mark, what is Pepco?
Pepco is a utility in Washington, D.C. So before we can install a system, we have to have an interconnect agreement with Pepco. So we'll have Pepco come out after the system has been installed to finally commission it, to change out the meter so that we now have a bidirectional meter that will read how much energy is being sent back to the grid, and also how much energy is coming in. And at the end of the month, the customer will pay that net amount. That's called net metering. So it's a grid-tied system, and it's very good because low-income families spend a greater proportion of their income on energy than middle and upper-class individuals. So saving them $35 or $40 a month is very important. Mm-hmm. And then when we can multiply that to 200 or 300 individuals in that community, we really empower that community. And they have money then each month to invest in education, food, things that are important to their daily living.
Yeah, that's very important because the discretionary income, in some places is very challenged. But Alan, looking at this, as far as reducing the CO2 emissions, lowering the costs, how is that, you think that would impact your family in your own life?
Well, it will first of all help us afford more stuff, because reducing the electricity, because that's what we basically use in our house all the time, is electricity. Mm-hmm. If it will reduce that, we'll be able to have more money to save, or to buy more groceries, or pay car notes or car bills or other bills that we need to get paid to help keep our house or as necessities.
Mark, you did a good job in training. What was the first thing he said? Savings.
Savings.
Isn't that incredible? Alan, good for you, buddy. That was actually the right answer, so thank you for doing that. AJ, tell us a little bit about the solar panels. How does that convert sunlight into energy?
Sunlight that comes from the sun that has, let me start up. Sunlight that comes from the sun that reduces energy. No, oh my goodness. Okay, sunlight sunlight from the sun that hits the solar panels that increases
The
electronics in your house.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and how does that work?
That makes an electrical flow.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mark, help him out a little bit there. What's actually happening in this conversion with the solar panels?
Absolutely. And AJ is just a little bit nervous his first time.
I can tell. TV, that's why we're going to help him out. And thank you for being here, AJ.
Yes, he really does understand what is going on. He's just a bit nervous. But what happens is the photons from the sun hits the solar panels, which are made of silicon, and you have these solar cells. So when they're connected, we have 72 cells connected in a panel, and once the photons from the sun hit the solar panels, the electrons get excited, cause a current, and they flow. So they're wired in series and parallel, so that we can get maximum output. And each solar panel will have a nameplate rating, whereas it'll produce 230, 240, or 250 or 300 watts we're using now a lot of times per panel. So you line those panels up in series or parallel to get the desired output, and that produces energy. So then that energy is produced and used up at the location or fed back to the grid, in which case, if it's fed back to the grid, your account will be credited for the energy that is produced. Mm-hmm. So it's very important because we are reducing the carbon footprint. As you know, many inner cities now are suffering from pollution. Mm-hmm. We have asthma rates that are high in low-income communities, and disproportionately affected by a lot of the ills of climate change. Yeah. So we want to affect that in a positive way, and this is our way of doing it. I mean, we all have to give back and try and do whatever we can to curb climate change, and this is just our way of doing that and making sure that we have jobs and making sure that people in the communities benefit from it as well as everyone else.
Yeah, well, that's very important to have Alan and AJ. AJ, follow-on question to that. What do you see as far as the benefits for you and your family as far as being involved with this program with Mr. Davis and WDC Solar?
Hoping that Mr. Davis gave me a chance to hire me to show him that I can really install, not so much that we can take benefit from it, so we could get more things for our kids. You know, more things in the house that we need that we ain't have to get until next month for the first of the month and things like that. It'll help us get more things in life.
No, that's very important. You have to take care of yourself, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, we're glad you're here, and actually, we're glad that you're learning all of this.
Yes.
And thank you for being here to share with us. Mark, investment tax credits. What are they, and how does it work within this program you're doing in Ward 8 in Washington, D.C.?
Yes, the Federal Investment Tax Credit, the ITC, is very important to moving the industry forward. As you probably know, it's scheduled to expire December 16th next year. So we want to do what we can to try and get that extended, but that's a 30% federal tax credit that is used to finance many solar projects, not just residential, but larger projects as well. Investors look for that tax credit to buy down the cost of the system, as we do in the low-income program. We use the tax credit, we use the rebates and other incentives to buy down the cost of the system so that we can then install those systems on low-income families at no cost. But when we move to the larger systems, we have systems being installed that's costing upwards of $2 to $3 million. So that's a very large piece for an investor. So we want to see that investment tax credit extended if possible. And I think it'll really help us keep the industry on track and moving forward.
Fantastic. Alan, I'm going to diverge from the question we talked about. Looking at this image right here with the solar panels on the back, how does that make you feel to have that going up in your own home community in Washington, D.C.?
It makes me feel happy that we're helping to reduce the carbon footprint, to make Mother Earth more healthy and make her live longer, and also helping other people and reducing energy for everybody.
That's fantastic. AJ, what's your feeling when you just look at those solar panels on the roof?
That we're not going to have a lot of power plants, oil plants. You know, we don't need that anymore because energy is going green is the best.
Absolutely.
To make the world better.
That's absolutely fantastic. Mark Davis is sitting down at the end of the table from me. He's the president of WDC Solar. Right beside him is Alan Swenson. Thank you very much for being here. And AJ Smith, thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
Saving for retirement might be easy for some folks, but for others, it might take a little more work. And for those who haven't started, there are still things you can do to catch up.
Oh, that is good news.
Like getting out from underneath past debt. And don't get wrapped up with high-interest credit cards.
Get you some eyes.
Be diversified with your investments. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Your financial goals are not out of reach. The choice is clear. For a happy ending, choose to save.
Everyone with alcohol and drug addiction is in the same boat. With treatment, you can find solid ground. For drug and alcohol information and treatment referral for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Dude, are you sure you want this tattoo? Because just do it.
Some mistakes in life are permanent. Like hearing loss. To learn how to protect your hearing, visit ASHA.org.
You've probably heard about heart disease, but did you know that it's the #1 killer of women nationwide? Heart disease claims more lives each year than breast cancer, lung cancer, or strokes combined. But there are steps you can take to protect yourself against it. For more information on how you can prevent heart disease, contact your local American Heart Association or visit their website at www.americanheart.org.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from, Welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. as we look around the globe for those 1,000 best practices, the technologies, the services, and the products that are making a difference as we move through the 21st century. And so as we were chatting earlier, when we add about 2 billion new people to the planet, we're going to have to house all those folks. And at the same time, we have to make sure that we're actually protecting the environment. And so how are we going to be able to balance that? That is really the question, and at the same time to provide affordable and comfortable housing for all these new people. But at the same time, we've got to go back and actually take care of about 2 billion people that are already on the planet and improve the housing stock and the quality of their existence at the same time. So there's going to be a lot of work, Candace, as you know, over these next 10 to 15, 20 years. So Candace Lyles is sitting down here. She is the Operations Vice President of WDC Solar. Sitting right next to her is Alan Swenson. Thank you, Alan, for being with us. And then right beside me is Chris Hawkins. Chris, welcome to the Emerald Planet. And everybody, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank
you. Thank you for having us.
We're glad to have you here. Candace, tell us a little bit about your work and your duties as far as Operations Vice President. It's a big title. I know it has a lot of responsibilities, so tell us about it.
Well, it is a big title, and I try to distill it into a few but very important pieces of duties every day. And the first one is just articulating the vision and the strategies of the company, not only to our staff and to all of the people that work with us, but externally to our government partners, our customers. We just know that that's an important job, just in making sure that we communicate with them what our vision is as you know, we go about the business of what we do in terms of installing solar.
Right. Now you're in Ward 8. This is an area that actually is an up-and-coming area. Many people are looking at that, moving into the area. Why is WD Solar located there, but also what are some of the benefits that you have as far as being established there for now what's becoming a long period of time?
Well, WDC Solar was the brainchild, if you will, of the president, Mark Davis. And early on, he wanted to make sure that communities of color were also part of the green economy. And so be invested in the community, which is and not, you know, for your viewers who may not be familiar with the area, but Ward 8 is one of the more challenged areas or regions within the District of Columbia. And again, Mr. Davis just wanted to make sure that we were vested as a company, and that when we reached out, that we were reaching out to young men and women who also could be part of the green economy.
That's fantastic. And that's like Chris, who's sitting right beside me here. He's grinning at me and
Absolutely.
Thinking, I get all this education, and I have a chance to move forward for myself and my family within the community, and it's congratulations for that. We're glad to have you here. Tell me a little bit about what was the process that you and your colleagues that are in this technician training program went through, and how long did it take you to get accepted, and just give us some ideas about being in the program itself.
Well, first of all, being in the program is quite exceptional for myself and my colleagues. For the fact of the matter is, we haven't been able to find jobs and a few things like that. And this program gave us that opportunity.
Now, looking at the opportunity that you have as far as doing this, what actually led you to go ahead and apply? Many people would hear about this and they'd say, oh, I'll never get that. So they just don't apply. But yeah, obviously, you decided I can apply, I can make it, and I'm going to graduate. So what was the motivation, and what were your thoughts, feelings at the time about just, I'm going to do this no matter what?
Well, my thoughts and feelings, well, I wasn't really as motivated. I had people to push me forward.
Well, so, that's a good thing.
Right.
And who are some of these people that pushed you forward?
My family.
That's fantastic. So you got a family that's very supportive of you, and they want you to succeed.
Yes.
And that's very important.
And I also want to succeed for them.
That two-way street, isn't it?
Most
That's
definitely.
fantastic. Alan, thank you for being with us. How long did the process take you, and what are some of the steps that you went through to be accepted into the program, and just what were your thoughts and feelings, just like I was asking Chris, about why would you be willing to apply and persevere? Because it's not instant that people get accepted into these programs, and it takes a lot of time, work, and study to be successful.
Well, first of all, the process is not like just one day or 2 days. It's months of process. You have to do the online application, then you have to do the orientation. The orientation will take like an hour to 30 minutes. The reason I chose this field of opportunity, field of work, because I like working with my hands, and I like making a big change to people, like either building houses, installing solar panels, or something that help bring a house, or just something that will put a smile on somebody's face for a community.
Mm-hmm. Chris, coming back to you, if you don't mind, then I'll ask Candace the next question. This was really intriguing what Alan was just saying, is that he really wants to bring change within the community itself. So just in the time you've been in the program, what has been the change for you? Not just the community. What do you think you've gone through that's really made a difference?
I feel as though I've gone through quite a few things.
Okay.
First of all, I had to persevere, I had to overcome, because I wasn't always with WDC Solar. Mm-hmm. First of all, I was with a daycare. Mm-hmm. I was given the opportunity to come to WDC Solar, I ran with it.
Mm-hmm. But how's it changed you? What do you feel that today is different about you than when you started this some 6-8 weeks ago? And because this is almost an 8-hour day, 5 days a week, so it's almost like having a job in order to learn how to do this and to be properly educated, so that when you go out and start doing these installations, that'll actually work, right? So how do you think you've changed?
I feel as though I've changed for the absolute better. Mm-hmm. Because what they teach at WDC Solar is the foundation of success: believing, conceiving, and achieving.
Oh, okay. Very good. All right. Chris, you've learned well. Thank you very much. And Candace, I know that you've been fostering all the people that you have in this course. I've been out there several times, and this is just fantastic. Candace, the students get paid or not, and yes or no, and just tell us a little bit about that as far as the training program they're going through, because it's like an apprenticeship but also an internship at the same time. It's really a hybrid program.
That's right, and we're happy to have, first of all, developed a relationship with the Department of Employment Services. One of the things that
and that's Washington, D.C.
That is correct, mm-hmm. And also because we also don't always want to reinvent the wheel, and because we knew of their track record, especially with this particular summer program, we wanted to be able to tap into it. And this was or is the first year that they have actually extended the program to include 22 to 24-year-olds, of which
that's
Chris
good,
is,
because there's so many in the community that have that age but really don't have the employment opportunities.
That's right, exactly. And actually that age range is perfect and ideal for the solar industry, because historically, and looking at the solar industry, we know about the growth, but also the fact that these are probably young people, both men and women, coming to us who probably have probably at the best high school education. So many of them have the hands-on aptitude. Certainly they have the math aptitude to be able to handle and do the electrical wiring aspects of the job. And then what we do is teach them the soft skills and work with them in terms of business etiquette and those kinds of things. So again, for us, it was a great relationship, great marriage. And both Alan and Chris are just two of our stellar examples for the program.
That's fantastic. Well, the responses they're giving, we can tell that they've actually been listening and showing up and attending the classes classes and all that. Chris, how did you first hear about the training program at WDC Solar? And were there others in the community that knew about this that you've actually brought in and be part of the class? And how do you think this should be promoted in the future?
I actually was referred through a family member to attend these classes. I saw it as an opportunity that I can take for advancement. And speaking on, was there another company? No, there was only DOES, Department of Employment Services. And speaking on for future, I would like to see more people being interested in solar energy.
Okay. Well, let me ask this question. Let's follow on. How can you entice or interest other people to be involved in this? People in the community. What do you think you can do based on what you've learned and the experiences that you've had?
For the experience I had, I would say maybe we can like set up solar panel phone chargers on every corner.
That's something that's needed, huh?
Most definitely, because phones are always dying. People always want to be connected.
So in other words, you're going to be an entrepreneur and you're setting up a new business. Is that what you're telling us?
I'm here saying it first.
Okay, Candace, you heard it first.
I know.
On Emerald Planet TV.
What a great idea.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And of course, you know, there's many of these. Alan, you're about ready to graduate out of this the solar training program. We have to be quick. We only have a few seconds left. So you're learning to be successful in life, not just how to install solar panels. What's some of the 2 or 3 principles you've learned to be successful in life, not just in the solar industry?
First,
got to be quick.
First, to have your money, have all your money, make right choices, not just the bad ones, and just to be you. Just do what you feel that's right.
Those are excellent. Okay, Candace, we're running out of time. What do you see for the expansion and growth of WDC Solar, say over the next 5, 10, 15 years, to bring more people, young people like this, into the industry?
A huge opportunity. The growth rate of the solar industry already, 86% growth rate over the last 5 years. A few weeks ago, President Obama announced an initiative over the next 5 years to bring low-income solar into federally subsidized housing. These are definitely communities of color. These are the kinds of young men and women that reside in these areas. So huge opportunities all across the board, all across the United States.
So lower the cost, increase hopefully their savings while we're protecting the environment, reducing CO2 gas emissions. Very nicely done to all of you. This is Candace Lyles, Operations Vice President. We have Alan Swinson right there in the red shirt, Chris Hawkins. Thank you for being with us. That was great, the Emerald Planet. Good job. Nicely done. Nicely done.
I helped turn my child's public school into a whole new kind
Alan,
of school.
you did double duty, buddy.
One with a curriculum that really motivates kids. One that has extended hours, 6 days a week, year-round. With loads of academic, cultural, and recreational activities. One that has support services like medical and dental right there. A school where parents' involvement is encouraged. Where teachers have more time to teach. And students are excited about learning. There's just one problem. My child doesn't ever want to come home. You can help turn your school into a community school for excellence. Find out how. Call 1-877-LOVE-TO-LEARN.
It's coming. Right to your neighborhood. And when it does, you may be surprised. It's your Social Security statement of your benefits, and it's going to help you plan your financial future. Your benefit statement will tell you how much Social Security you're eligible to receive and when you'll get it. Then you'll know how much you need to save for retirement, because that's coming too. The future is in your hands. Choose to save.
The toxic fumes from this meth lab are seeping into Jamie's sinus cavity. Ammonia vapors invade her throat. Toxic gases fill her lungs. Jamie's body is deteriorating. And she doesn't even know it.
Jamie, dinner.
So, who has the drug problem now? Find out how meth affects you at drugfree.org/
all the cameras.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet as we come to you from Washington, D.C. on a week-to-week basis, looking around the globe for those 1,000 best practices, the technology, services, products, and of course the people are making a difference as we move towards 2050. And by that time, we'll have a planet that's estimated will have about 9 billion people. And so right now we have some 2 billion or so that actually need to have increased and much better housing stock. And so what are we going to do as we move towards 2050 to be able to house the new people that are coming in a much better and higher quality way? At the same time, we're protecting the environment. And I have someone sitting on the other end of the table down here who's actually been active at this for some time. Candace Lyle, she's the Operations Vice President of WDC Solar, and sitting right next to her is Paul Marshall. He is a member of the Solar Energy Technician Training Program. And Candace and Paul, welcome to the Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you for having us.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you out with us. Candace, looking at WDC Solar, we've talked many times about this, but you know, as a leader in the solar energy, what are some of the things that's important as far as learning about the rules, the regulations that go on within local communities, you know, like Washington, D.C., every local community has building officials, building inspectors, and many people are trying to do good things, but they really don't know what's the requirements are, and they get themselves in trouble. And I know that WDC Solar works very hard at making sure that you meet everything that's needed. So what's the process for learning about all that, and why is that important to the people that you're trying to reach within the community?
Well, first of all, that's an excellent question. And the answer is that there is a blueprint in every jurisdiction. So no matter where, especially here in the United States, you reside, there is a code permitting process. And we're lucky enough here in the District of Columbia to have all of that housed in or through one agency, which is called DCRA. It stands for the DC Regulatory and Consumer Affairs. And fortunately, we can go there and walk through the process from A to Z. And when I say that, I mean from the beginning phase in terms of submitting our documents to getting them reviewed. So these are the various plans that are required to obtain a building permit, and then actually the issuance of these permits, and then the inspectors who come out once everything is in place to inspect the work that is performed is also housed through the same agency. So we're lucky in that regard, and also able to do a lot of it now online, which is obviously a real time saver for us.
I was going to say, that's absolutely amazing. I didn't realize this. All this resides in one agency within the government. As you know, in many other localities, it could be 2, even 3 government agencies.
Absolutely.
So do you have any idea what led Washington, D.C. to be very forward-thinking and want to have everything in one office to make it easier and faster for the builders to go out and do what they're supposed to be doing?
Well, I think inefficiency breeds efficiency. So I'm sure over time and hearing the comments and understanding just what the advantages are, not only for us as the vendor, but also for the customer, because the permitting process is in place and all the codes are in place to protect that end user, which is the homeowner, or or it could be a commercial project, but the end result is the same. We want to make sure that we're installing, doing it according to code, doing it safely, and that's why those permitting guidelines are in place.
I know your president, actually I know him quite well, Mark Davis, who's
Yes.
the president of WDC Solar, and I know that even though he looks and see, what are the codes, he's always reminding me that he tries to go beyond what the codes are as far as insulation values and sealant within the homes and all that. So looking at these things, Candace, and then I'm going to go to Paul, what are some of the things that you are doing that really helps to lower the cost of the homeowner? Not the fact it's just doing the solar energy, but it's also what they call weatherization to make sure the house is very tight and energy efficient.
That's right, because there is a whole energy audit system in place so that when we go into the house, you're correct, we're not just looking at it from the standpoint of lowering their energy costs through the installation of the solar panels, but looking at it from the standpoint of doors, windows, how is, leaks, those kinds of things. And when we go out, we actually do and conduct a site visit, first and foremost. I mean, once we've identified a potential customer, the first thing we're doing is the site visit, and that helps us tremendously. Also gives immediate feedback to the client, so they know also what the expectations are, perhaps that there are some things that need to be done as we move forward.
And also it gives them comfort that there's going to be a high level of performance in the house itself as far as doing this. I know you have the blower door test and the duct blasters and other technologies that go on, as well as just a site evaluation of it, so that's very important. Paul, looking at Pepco, which is the public utility for Washington, D.C. and Southern Maryland, tell us a little bit about this meter, this special meter it's installed for the solar panels. Tell us about that.
Excuse me. The bidirectional meter is what it's called. Mr. Davis actually touched on it a bit earlier. Basically, all it does is it monitors how much energy you consume. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
It monitors how much energy you consume and also how much energy you put back into the grid.
Now, looking at that, why is that important to be looking at how much energy you're putting into the grid? Because most people say that's very strange. Usually the utility's giving me electricity and I use it. And you're talking about you want to put it back in. How does that work?
Well, when they put it back in the grid, most states have like programs that you end up getting money back for putting it back into the grid. So it ends up putting more money in the owner's pocket.
So it's a way that actually you can reduce the cost, as far as a homeowner, but also it's the house in a sense becomes like a little mini energy producer in itself, correct?
Yeah. Okay. And also it's great for the environment.
That's absolutely reducing the CO2 emissions. What is a grid-tied solar system?
A grid-tied solar system is basically what we just talked about. It's hooked up to the Pepco grid and interconnected to the Pepco grid.
Okay, and it could be any public utility that serves your home, regardless of where you are in the United States, or if you're in Japan or Russia or Denmark or places, they have a similar kind of thing. What's a standalone solar system?
A standalone is a bit different. That one isn't hooked up to the Pepco grid. It's hooked up to a battery, so you can store energy that way.
And so why do you think people want to store their energy? Because the fact that you're going to put, let's say, as far as the grid tied, you're putting it in, you're getting credits for it. So why would somebody want to have a battery? It's an extra expense, and be able to store that excess electricity they're not using.
Well, one way they could use it is as a backup system, just in case the grid system ever went down. They would have that extra battery stored up that way.
Well, and we know that particularly when we get these severe winters around here, that we could be without electricity for a few hours or a few days, right? You ever had that? Looking at your community, Paul, the people that live around you in your own home, how do you think having the grid tied and the standalone could be useful in your community?
Well, I'm already seeing it around town. When you're driving down the street, the police scanners that mark your speed, you can see that they're hooked up to a standalone solar system, and so it's good saving money for the community, and they're hooked up to traffic signs, signals, stuff like that.
Also stoplights are now being solarized. Looking at your own home, how do you think that having either one or both of these systems could be of benefit to your own home and your family?
just putting money back into my pocket, or my mom's pocket in that case.
Okay. And also reducing the cost, so there's other things that you can use the money for. Candace, looking at that, how do you, let's take this a step further, how do you educate people in the community to understand about these two different systems, you know, grid tied or the standalone, and how do you help them make the decision which way they may want to go, the owners of that particular property?
Well, definitely being out in the community, because our approach is community-based, so we're always out holding and hosting workshops. So we either have people come into us, where we're happy to have our solar panels displayed, or again, as we do our installations in the community, we make a point of going and talking to the neighbors, finding out their level of interest. We participate in a number of community events, several churches in the area. Temple of Praise is one of our big supporters. They host workshops not only among their congregation, but also, again, community members.
And we can mention Christopher Askew as the employment minister there, and does an absolutely wonderful job with these outreach to the community, and also help to bring more people in for employment.
Absolutely, that's right.
Yeah. Looking at this, Paul, and as far as reaching out to community, what's some of the things you think of yourself going through the solar energy technician training? How can you help to make people more aware of the opportunities for solar power, and particularly people that may be in low income status?
Well, first of all, before going into the program, I didn't even realize how affordable it can be through all the federal tax credits and the grants and stuff like that you would get. But I've basically been telling my family members all about it, trying to get them involved, and how we can do anything to make
So what you're learning then, this is something that you can actually carry forward, not only just for the community in general, but also for your own family members. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's absolutely fantastic. We're just about running out of time. I'm going to advance the slide here. Candace, looking at WDC Solar, where do you see yourselves going in the next 5, 10, 15 years as far as not only Washington, D.C., but you're also looking at projects up in New York City, New York, and Atlanta, Georgia, and expanding around the country. So this is very exciting, but it's based on this national model program that's been established right in Washington, D.C.
Yes, and again, we go back to our president, Mark Davis, and the tremendous need to have communities of color involved in the process. And by that I mean, even though the solar industry has been growing, as I mentioned, 86% over the last 4 years, which is huge, but the African American participation rate is only 6%. So we need to do a lot of work there, and just being right here in the community allows us to get out and reach out to other people and get them involved.
Fantastic. Candace Lyles, Operations Vice President, Paul Marshall, both of which are with WDC Solar. Thank you for being with us as we create the Emerald Planet.
I need a job.
Necesito trabajo. I would like to speak English better. Me gustaría hablar inglés mejor.
I want to be a U.S. citizen.
Quisiera ser ciudadano de los Estados Unidos.
For over 35 years,
Por más de 35 años,
the Hispanic Committee of Virginia has been serving our community.
el Comité Hispano de Virginia ha estado sirviendo a nuestra comunidad.
Job training and placement,
Capacitación, ayuda para conseguir trabajo,
education for children and adults,
educación para niños y adultos,
immigration, naturalization, and medical referrals.
ayuda para los procesos de inmigración y naturalización y orientación sobre médicos
Are a small part of what we do.
son solo una pequeña parte de lo que hacemos.
For help, information, or to volunteer,
Para ayuda, información o para ofrecerse como voluntario,
contact the Hispanic Committee of Virginia,
comuníquese con el Comité Hispano de Virginia,
helping everyone participate more fully in American society.
ayudando a todos a participar plenamente en la sociedad norteamericana.
Hey, Lena, where's yours?
Would you notice if you were missing half your kidney function? According to the National Kidney Foundation, 20 million people have chronic kidney disease, and 20 million more may be at risk and not even know it. Anyone with high blood pressure, diabetes, or family history of chronic kidney disease is at risk. Early diagnosis is vitally important. To get the whole story, talk to your doctor and visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org or call for a free brochure. Because when it comes to chronic kidney disease, you might not know the half.
We're back to the Inside Scoop Emerald Planet. Here again, your host, Dr. Sam.
Hello and welcome to the Emerald Planet. I'm Dr. Sam Hancock, the President, Executive Director of the Emerald Planet, and also known as the Emerald Planet International Foundation. We come to you through the Emerald Planet TV on a week-to-week basis, reaching out all over the United States and around the globe to share the best practices, those best practices that are going to take us through 2050 and through the 21st century as we add maybe 2 billion new people by 2050, and it could be as many as 12 to 13 billion people on Earth at the end of the 21st century. So we have a lot of work to do, and a gentleman sitting right down at the end of the table, we've been working together going on some years now, Mark, although you look younger every time I see you. This is Mark Davis. He's the president of WDC Solar, and sitting right beside him is Ramo, who is here, and his last name is Herbert. And Ramo, yes, thank you for being with us.
I'm glad
to have you here. Mark, it's always good to have you. Welcome back to Emerald Planet TV.
Thank you, Dr. Sam.
You are recognized as a very astute business gentleman and a business owner, WDC Solar, and other ventures that you have. But why would you want to be involved in low-income solar housing projects when you're looking to expand your business and to grow your business? What's about this that's attractive and important to you?
Right. So once we got into the numbers, we saw that there was a lot of growth in the low-income community. That was the first thing. And the second thing we saw is that it's very difficult for us to compete with some of the larger solar installation companies who have deep pockets and have power purchase agreements and leases that they can put in place. So in creating the low income program, we covered ourselves. We created a niche for WDC Solar to grow. And we've been very successful in the low income market. And we feel like we've created a model over the years that we can transfer to other urban areas and help other urban areas benefit from the growth in the solar industry.
Yeah, now I know that you were just recently in New York City and working up there to look at projects, and even members of both the Congress and the Senate of the United States are looking at what you're doing. You've been doing work in Atlanta, Georgia, and some other places around the United States. So that's a pretty aggressive agenda you've got going for you there. So how do you see what you've been doing in Washington, D.C. is giving you this base to reach out to a New York, to Atlanta, maybe even Chicago, LA, other places?
Yes, well, we were called to New York by Senator Kevin Parker and New York State Assemblyman Charles Barrows to help them develop a low-income program for Bronx, Brooklyn, and those two boroughs, primarily Queens. So they saw what we were doing here and wanted to replicate that in New York City. So we've been back and forth meeting with Senator Parker and Assemblyman Barrows and getting the pieces in place so that we could have a low-income program there in New York City. So we're extremely excited about that opportunity. We're also working with trying to get a low-income program set up in Atlanta and a couple of other places where we see we can really get a program going. And these cities are really looking for something like this because they understand understand the benefit of putting people back to work, and that's very important for urban areas around the country.
And also, too, Mark, I think to expand this is not only just to green jobs development, which is very important, but also you're helping to establish green businesses. And I think that's something that's unique about who you are as a person and what you're doing, and you have that love of communities no matter where they are. So I certainly commend you for all it is that you're doing. And I want to commend someone else who's not here, but Chris Askew at the Temple of Praise. We've been working with them, as you know, for a number of years, you as well. So how can the communities of faith, the churches, the mosques, the temples, be actively involved with you and others that are really reaching into the low-income communities to bring change?
Yes, absolutely. So a couple of years ago, we saw that community net metering, or solar gardens, if you will, was something that we wanted to get involved with. So we helped put together a bill with some other solar installation companies around the District of Columbia, and got it put together, and council passed it. So what community net metering does is it will allow business owners and people who live in condos and cooperatives to have a solar system installed and get the tax credits and the rebates associated with that system without having it installed on their roofs. So what happens with churches is, a lot of churches, you have a lot of steeples, you have a lot of things going on a lot of church roofs that just make it, not suitable for solar. So with this new community net metering bill, we can build solar gardens at a third-party location, and that church can still benefit. So as to date, we have about 15 churches signed up for the solar garden, and we're extremely excited about having those churches signed up, and it's just another way for us to make sure that all parts of the community benefit from solar energy. And we've worked very closely with Reverend Edmonds there in Washington, D.C. to get churches signed up, and we want to continue that growth. We're working with Green for All to get churches in other urban areas signed up for the program as well.
Yeah, the Green for All is a nationwide program, and it's doing a very positive outreach, and it's a very good thing. Raymo Herbert sitting right beside me, very patiently listening to all this. But what he's talking about with these solar gardens is really a distributive energy type of system. What is distributive energy, and how does that relate to the solar panels and the solar energy that we're talking about?
Okay, distributive energy is the energy that your solar system produces. Like the amount of energy being produced per day, that's what distributed energy is. It's like all the energy that is being built up into your solar system that your house is using.
And expand on that just a little bit, Mark, if you don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. So distributed generation is solar systems distributed around the city at individual locations. So when you have that takes a strain off the grid, especially during high peak hours. So we want to make sure that we have small businesses, homeowners, and with solar systems, because the more business owners and residential homeowners we have installing solar system, that's going to be less strain on the grid, that's going to be less coal, it's going to be less nuclear, we're going to be green. And we're pleased and very happy to be in DC, where we have a mayor and a city council who really supports the Green Initiative.
Yeah, and this actually is a number of administrations now that have really been developing and strengthening and expanding this whole effort too.
Absolutely. So it's not only the current mayor, it's the one before that and one before that, and also city council. So they've all embraced this green initiative, and we see it happening now around the country, where people are starting to understand that there's a lot to solar energy, and we want to make sure that all communities benefit from installing solar systems and from the jobs that it creates and from the energy that it produces.
Looking at the incentives and rebates, this is something, Ramo, that I know you've been going over as far as your training program with WDC Solar. Why is that important to the homeowners within a place like Ward 8, Ward 7, to these low-income homeowners?
The program, the incentives help homeowners afford the solar system. Like one of the incentives that they have are the ITC, which is the investment tax credit, which helps you pay for the solar system. Another one is the SREC, which is the solar renewable energy credit, which helps you pay for your solar system. And then it's a $2.50 rebate that the government gives you to also help you pay for your solar system.
Fantastic. When you're thinking about your own family, you're thinking about your neighbors, other family members around you, why do you think this is something that you want to tell them about so they know about these various incentives? And why is it important to you to have your family and your neighbors to know about this?
I believe that it's important for my family and my neighbors to know about the different incentives that the government provide, because most of the people that I live around and hang with and be with are low income. So every dollar counts when you are low income. It's not too much that you can get from the government. So when you can get it, I believe you should take it.
Well, as long as it's legal and it's available to you. I understand exactly what you're saying. Looking at the solar, why solar, in low-income communities? You could say, well, we could put larger systems out in the suburbs and commercial buildings, but Mr. Davis here has really focused on low-income and believes that this is very important to the environment and the community. But Ramo, why do you think it's important?
I think it's important is because the low-income bracket of the United States, or the world, you should say, needs the money more. High class energy bills is barely nothing to them. They getting so much money, it really doesn't make a difference where the money they taking from. But in low income, most of your check goes to the utility bills, gas, water, electricity, and food, basically.
So you have all these various personal expenses, and so it's less discretionary income that you have to do education, healthcare, and some of these kinds of things. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Mark, looking at it, we're running out of time, as always, when you're on. We have too much to talk about. What do you see for the growth and development of WDC Solar over the next 5, 10, 15 years? We have to be quick.
Yes, well, we would like to see the ITC extended, of course, first thing. Second thing is we'd like to see greater penetration into the low-income market in other jurisdictions. Okay. And we feel like we can do that.
No, that's absolutely fantastic. Well, I'd like to thank you for being with us. This is Mark Davis, President.
Thank you.
And this is Ramo Herbert. Thank you for being with us. He's a member of the Solar Energy Technician Training Program, and it's a very good program that Mr. Davis is putting on. We're very proud of him, proud of you as well. Thank you for being with us, Ramo.
Thank you, Dr.
Mark,
Sam.
thank you for being with us. And your viewers, thank you for being with us as we're looking around the globe to bring better housing stock at the same time to create the Emerald Planet.